To ask you about some news that broke this morning regarding Kieran Shoemark. The John and Gosden team have said that from now on they'll be using the best available jockey, including Kieran, but it suggests that he's no longer got that number one spot. Was it a surprise to you?
I think in this game it didn't surprise me. It's a very cutthroat business, and I think there's very little loyalty involved sometimes. I think it was a tough decision for Kieran, all the graft that he's put in for the yard, particularly last year when, they weren't setting the world alight, but it is racing, and it didn't surprise me at all.
And he was having to follow Frankie, which was always going to be difficult, wasn't it?
Yeah, I always compare it to, David Moyes having to take over from Sir Alex. Frankie got out at the right time. John Gosden had an okay year without, doing amazingly well, and, he was never going to... Kieran was always set up for a fall, I think.
And of course, remember, it's not the first time, won't be the last time that somebody has moved on, or and we'll see in the next week or so, the horses that Kieran has been winning on, so has the best record or is suited to those horses, whether he's still riding them. And if he isn't, we know. That's it. And I'm afraid the game rolls on.
Yeah, they've said that he's riding for them here today, be riding the Musadora next week.
I imagine even for you, Thady, a little bit of an emotional day, although I hear that Kieran's riding at York for you next week.
Yeah, exactly. He's also riding an asset for us on Friday. As I say, we just had a bit of a shift in policy for the rest of the season, doing the best able rider, but of course, Kieran's still riding for us and will continue to do so.
So is this not quite as dramatic as it seemed early this morning, that he's, 1 minute he's there, the next minute he's gone?
Well, I guess in the press everything's dramatised to an extent, but it is what it is, and hopefully we'll have a good rest of the season together.
He's trading at 30% for you and John this season, which is tremendous. Last time Dettori was riding for you, he traded at just 33%, so very similar. He's had a Group 1 winner for you at the end of the last season when all the sort of old school have moved on a little bit. And this season he's come back with Field of Gold, of course, and the Craven, the Nelgren and Zanzoon, Shahar at Ascot, Shahar at Goodwood, Sardinia Warrior at Ascot. It all looked to be going really, really well. But did that sort of Guineas loss just finish that a little bit?
Well, Matt, I guess we did sit here and stand here, and analyse things until the sun sets. But it's all on point doing that. The decision's been made, and hopefully we'll make the best of it.
Okay, and as for Queen of Thieves here, won quite nicely last time under Kieran, and didn't run too badly at Newbury before that.
No, exactly. She's a nice filly, like you say. She did a great race at Yarmouth last time out. We'll obviously see how the form of that works out, but a little bit in the deep end here today. Aiden's sort of very nice filly in here, a bit of depth to the field, obviously a small field, and we'll have to see how we run.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Interesting words from Thady. You'd imagine Kieran would absolutely love to win this.
Well, of course, yesterday's Betfred 2000 Guineas was a dramatic race. For many of you, the best horse won, Ruling Court. For many of you, Field of Gold should have won. Who was second? For me, Shadow of Light should have won, and he was only third. When you have a race like that, there's so many tangents to chat about. Luckily, Kieran Shoemark's come out to have a chat. He, of course, rode Field of Gold into second place, Kieran. I think let's just get straight on with the start of the race, because you come out the stores in the pink cap, the grey horse, and actually you're pretty prominent, but you immediately decide to drop back. So what goes through your mind at this point?
Yeah, he's always a horse that's quite quick from the gates. He has good early gate speed. Just trying to restrain him slightly. You can see Shane Foley's got the position that I ideally would have liked. I could have only have had two positions in this race, Matt, and I opted for the one with cover. I could have possibly have had William Buick's as well, but that would have meant being on the wing with no cover. We saw him in the Lagardère at the back end of last year where he was far too free with no cover. So the plan was always to try and find a bum to sit behind. I wasn't too worried about the pace of the race because my horse was relaxed and I know how well he travels. As we get a little bit closer now, we start heading towards the bushes. 2.5 out, I think you would find it hard to argue that if you asked who was the winner 2.5 out, I think everyone probably would have said me. I felt like I had all bases covered. He was travelling supremely well. Just here now where William Buick's starting to get a little bit animated.
Tell you what, we'll pause it here.
Yeah.
So just pause it here because it gives you more time to speak. So let's pause it here. So carry on with what you're saying. So you got to that point there. Now what's going on in the Shoemark head?
I could see William was just starting to niggle, and I felt like he was a horse I wanted to be following. So I felt like I was in the perfect position. I could see Shadow of Light, albeit he was on the other side. He actually ended up hitting the front, and we were literally next to each other.
He was cruising when you were cruising.
Yeah, he's a horse with plenty of speed. But the 2.5 out, I just felt like I was just trying to time my run. With the benefit of hindsight, ultimately, I was just too confident on my horse. When I won on him in the Craven, going into that dip on good to soft ground, it was as if the dip...
Off a strong base.
Yes, it was as if the dip didn't even exist. Whereas yesterday, entering the dip on good to firm ground, it very much did. My horse, I've gone from travelling so well. Here, as you can see, like everything is off the bridle, and I was still on the bridle. My heart sank as soon as I asked him to quicken because I felt him get disorganised. And I always knew it was going to be the case where we hit the rising ground and he was starting to find. But looking back, Matt, I should have just fired him into that dip. I shouldn't have been quite so confident on him. If I hadn't ridden him in the Craven, like he gave me such a good feel that I was just riding him with too much confidence.